Hi everybody, it's Whisperish. I'm making another video, so I hope that you all are happy with me. I kept meaning to make one while I was home on break, but there were always people in my house, and it felt kind of weird trying to do it when there were so many people around. So now I'm making one. I'm back at school. Trying to get through work and everything. But you don't want to hear about that. It's very cold and very rainy today, so I'm wearing my extra large sweater. And I'm gonna go make some chai here in a little bit because it's really cold and I'm really tired. And it's rainy, so I thought first off, I kept meaning to make a video, so I've been growing my nails out super long, so that I was thinking of working on this, because I've discovered that I love the sound of leather. It's like my new favorite thing. See? So the goal is still to make a video with this, but I can't figure out how to set up my computer yet in an optimal place for me to work on it and show you guys my recipes and stuff, so bear with me while I figure that out. In the meantime, I've gotten a ton of requests to do another reading, so I figured I'd do that today. I think what I'm going to do is Aurora Leigh, a poem. Not all of it, because it's very long, but parts of it. From this. It's another anthology. This one is a Victorian age. So I'm going to do that. It would be really helpful if you could leave in the comments if you want me to read poetry or prose or whatever. I try to pick works that are in the public domain so that I don't get any weird copyright issues going on. But I also really like the language from the 18th and 19th centuries, and I find it very soothing to listen to. So I was thinking the next reading might be from The Vindication of the Rights of Women by Mary Wollstonecraft, I think. I thought that'd be a fun idea. So let me know if any of these seem like they'd be good, or if you have any other suggestions. I'm always open to them. I just get a lot of reading requests, so it helped to know what specifically you guys want to hear. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. I had to get my power cord. Because my computer keeps sending the screen to sleep when I'm trying to talk, which is problematic. So, I'll be reading from here. Alright, this is a passage from Elizabeth Barrett Browning's Aurora Leigh. This is from Book 1, The Education of Aurora Leigh. Then land, then England. Oh, the frosty cliffs look cold upon me. Could I find a home among those mean red houses through the fog? And when I heard my father's language first, from alien lips which had no kiss from mine, I wept aloud, then laughed, then wept, then wept. And someone near me said the child was mad through much seasickness. The train swept us on. Was this my father's England, the great isle? The ground seemed cut up from the fellowship of verdure, field from field, as man from man. The skies themselves looked low and positive, as almost you could touch them with a hand, and dared to do it, they were so far off from God's celestial crystals. All things blurred and dulled and vague. Did Shakespeare and his mates absorb the light here? Not a hill or stone with heart to strike a radiant color up or achieve outline on the indifferent air. I think I see my father's sister stand upon the hall step of her country house to give me welcome. She stood straight and calm, her somewhat narrow forehead braided tight, as if for taming accidental thoughts or impulsible pulses. Brown hair bricked with gray by frigid use of life. She was not old, although my father was elder by a year. A nose drawn sharply, yet in delicate lines. A close, mild mouth, a little soured about the ends, through speaking unrequited loves, or peradventure niggardly half-truths. Eyes of no color. Once they might have smiled, but never have forgot themselves in smiling. Cheeks, in which there was yet a rose of perished summers, like a rose in a book, kept more for ruth than pleasure, if past bloom, past fading also. She had lived, we'll say, a harmless life, she called a virtuous life, a quiet life, which was not life at all, but that she had not lived enough to know. Between the vicar and the country squires, the Lord Lieutenant looking down sometimes from the Empyrean to assure their souls against chance vulgarisms, and, in the abyss, the apothecary, looked on once a year to prove their soundness of humility. The Poor Club exercised her Christian gifts of knitting stockings, stitching petticoats, because we are all of one flesh, after all, and need one flannel, with a proper sense of difference in the quality. And still the Book Club, guarded from your modern trick of shaking dangerous questions from the crease, preserved her intellectual. She had lived a sort of caged bird life, born in a cage, accounting that to leap from perch to perch was act and joy enough for any bird. Dear heaven, how silly are the things that live in thickets and eat berries. I, alas, a wild bird scarcely fledged, was brought to her cage, and she was there to meet me, very kind, bring the clean water, give out the fresh seed. She stood upon the steps to welcome me, calm in black garb. I clung about her neck, young babes, who catch at every shred of wool to draw the new light closer, catch and clean less blindly. In my ears my father's word hummed ignorantly, as the sea in the shells. Love, love, my child. She, black there with my grief, might feel my love. She was his sister once. I clung to her. A moment she seemed moved, kissed me with cold lips, suffered me to cling, and drew me feebly through the hall into the room she sat in. There, with some strange spasm of pain and passion, she wrung loose my hands imperiously and held me at arm's length, and with two gray steel naked-bladed eyes searched through my face. I stabbed it through and through brows and cheeks and chin, as if to find a wicked murderer in my innocent face. If not here, there perhaps. Then, drawing breath, she struggled for her ordinary calm, and missed it rather, told me not to shrink, as if she had told me not to lie or swear. She loved my father, and would love me too, as long as I deserved it. Very kind. I understood her meaning afterward. She thought to find my mother in my face, and questioned it for that. For she, my aunt, had loved my father truly as she could, and hated, with the gall of gentle souls, my Tuscan mother who had fooled away a wise man from wise courses, a good man from obvious duties, and, depriving her, his sister, of the household precedence, had wronged his tenants, robbed his native land, and made him mad, alike by life and death, in love and sorrow. She had poured for years what sort of woman could be suitable to her sort of hate, to entertain it with, and so her very curiosity became hate too, and all the idealism she ever used in life was used for hate, till hate, so nourished, did exceed at last the love from which it grew, in strength and heat, and wrinkled her smooth conscience with a sense of disputable virtue, say not sin, when Christian doctrine was enforced at church. And thus my father's sister was to me my mother's hater. From that day she did her duty to me. I appreciate it in her own word as I spoken to herself. Her duty, in large measure, well pressed out, but measured always. She was generous, bland, more courteous than was tender, gave me still the first place, as if fearful that God's saints would look down suddenly and say, "Herein you missed a point, I think, through lack of love." Alas, a mother never is afraid of speaking angrily to any child, since love, she knows, is justified of love. And I was a good child on the whole, a meek and manageable child. Why not? I did not live to have the faults of life. There seemed more true life in my father's grave than in all of England. Since that threw me off, who fain would cleave, his latest will, they say, consign me to his land. I only thought of lying quiet there, where I was thrown like seaweed on the rocks, and suffering her to prick me to a pattern with her pin, fiber from fiber, delicate leaf from leaf, and dry out from my drowned anatomy the last sea salt left in me. So it was. I broke the copious curls upon my head in braids, because she liked smoothed ordered hair. I left off saying my sweet Tuscan words, which still at any stirring of the heart came up to float across the English phrase as lilies, bene or che, because she liked my father's child to speak his tongue. I learned the collects, the catechism, the creeds, from Athanasius back to Nice, the articles, the tracts against the times, by no means Bonaventure's prick of love, and various popular synopses of inhuman doctrines never taught by John, because she liked instructed piety. I learnt my complement of classic French, kept pure of Balzac and neologism, and German also, since she liked a range of liberal education, tongues, not books. I learnt a little algebra, a little of the mathematics, brushed with extreme flounce the circle of the sciences, because she misliked women who are frivolous. I learnt the royal genealogies of Ovidio, the internal laws of the Burmese Empire, by how many feet Mount Chimborazo outsoars Tenerife, what navigable river joins itself to Lara, and what census of the year 5 was taken at Klagenfurt, because she liked a general insight into useful facts. I learned much music, such as would have been as quite impossible in Johnson's day, as still it might be wished, fine slates of hand and unimagined fingering, shuffling off the hearer's soul through hurricanes of notes to a noisy Tophet. And I drew costumes from French engravings, nereids neatly draped with smirks of simmering godship. I washed in landscapes from nature, rather say, washed out. I danced the polka and Celarius, spun glass, stuffed birds, and modeled flowers in wax, because she liked accomplishments in girls. I read a score of books on womanhood to prove, if women do not think at all, they may teach thinking to a maiden aunt or else the author. Books that boldly assert their right of comprehending husband's talk when not too deep, and even of answering with pretty, "May it please you," or "So it is." Their rapid insight and fine aptitude, particularly worth and general missionariness, as long as they keep quiet by the fire and never say no when the world says aye, for that is fatal. Their angelic reach of virtue, chiefly used to sit and darn, and fatten household sinners. Their, in brief, potential faculty in everything of abdicating power in it. She owned she liked a woman to be womanly. An Englishwoman, she thanked God and sighed. Some people always sigh in thanking God. Were models to the universe. And last, I learned cross-stitch, because she did not like to see me wear the night with empty hands a-doing nothing. So, my shepherdess was something after all, the pastoral saints be praised for it, learning lovelorn with pink eyes, to match her shoes when I mistook the silks, her head uncrushed by that round weight of hat so strangely similar to the tortoiseshell which slew the tragic poet. By the way, the works of women are symbolical. We sew, prick our fingers, dull our sight, producing what? A pair of slippers, sir, to put on when you're weary, or a stool to stumble over and vex you. Curse that stool. Or else at best, a cushion where you lean and sleep and dream of something we are not but would be for your sake. Alas, alas, this hurts most, this, that, after all, we are paid the worth of our work, perhaps. In looking down those years of education to return, I wonder if Brinvilliers suffered more in the water torture. Flood succeeding flood to drench the incapable throat and split the veins, than I did. Certain of your feebler souls go out in such a process. Many pine to a sick and odorous light, my own endured. I had relations in the unseen, and drew that elemental nutriment and heat from nature, as earth feels the sun at nights, or as a babe sucks surely in the dark. I kept the life thrust on me, on the outside, of the inner life with all its ample room for hearts and lungs, for will and intellect, inviolable by conventions. God, I thank thee for that grace of thine. At first I felt no life which was not patience, did the thing she bade me without a heed to a thing beyond it, sat in just the chair she placed, with back against the window, to exclude the sight of the great lime tree on the lawn, which seemed to have come on purpose from the woods to bring the house a message. Aye, and walked merely in her carpeted low rooms, as if I should not, hearkening my own steps, misdoubt I was alive. I read her books, was civil to her cousin Romney Leigh, gave ear to her vicar, tea to her visitors, and heard them whisper. When I changed a cup, I blushed for joy at that. The Italian child, for all her blue eyes and her quiet ways, thrives ill in England. She is paler yet than when we came the last time. She will die. That might be a weird place to leave off, but that's the end of the first book. I get slightly happier. At least that's the end of this excerpt. It's longer than I remember, so I think that is it for now. Let me know if I should continue with this poem, or if you would like me to do a different poem or a different reading or something like that. I love suggestions, I really do, and I read all the messages I get, all the comments. I don't have time to respond to all of them, but I really do, and I appreciate it greatly. So, thanks guys.